Okay, thumbs up. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Kansas City Oasis. My name is Julie Manning. I'll be your hostess and MC for today. And welcome to everybody on Facebook Live. For those of you who couldn't be here today, you're not listening right now because you are here. Good job. We will have our broadcast on YouTube later. If you missed it or you're like, my gosh, that was so good, I want to watch it again, you can. We'll let you. KC Oasis is our premier secular alternative to faith-based communities. We welcome all, regardless of beliefs, non-beliefs, race, gender, sexual orientation, identity, or any other trait. We believe the human experience is better when it is shared. So glad you guys are all here. We have our 5 core values. People are more important than beliefs. Reality is known through reason. Human hands solve human problems. Meaning comes from making a difference. Be accepting and be accepted. Our program today, we have featured speaker Eric Anderson on a history of the American Indian boarding schools. I cannot wait for that. Musical guest is Ben Wendt, to be specific, and our community moment is David Avila. So super glad I got to be MC today because I cannot wait to hear all these programs. I'm not going to talk a lot right now. We'll do more of that later. Don't worry. Ben, come on up. I'm going to read a little bit about Ben. His band Landlion makes happy songs about sad things. I'm like, what more could you want? This KC-based indie rock collective, led by Ben and backed by revolving all-star supporting cast musicians, will also have you dancing and singing along, so be sure to catch the full band show if you miss them at Lemonade Park, Boulevardia, or the Plaza Art Fair. I mean, he's like a big dog over here, I'm just saying. Besides writing and performing great music, Ben also supports other local regional musicians with his live music venue, The Rhino in North Kansas City. Please give a warm Oasis welcome to Ben Wendt.
Hello. Good morning. I'm so glad to be here. Hello, the internet. Where's the camera? Hello, the internet. Hello. So my name's Ben. I'm a local musician. I play in a handful of projects, Landlion being my main one, and that's mostly going to play for you today. This first song I want to play is sort of the title track from a new album we just dropped. The album's called Hymns for End Times, and it's a concept album about the modern world, how the internet's melting all of our brains and dividing us and making us hate each other, and how important it is to be in a room with other people and touch grass and remember that we have way more in common with each other than we feel like at times. So this is the song that kind of kicked off the whole idea for the record. It's called A Hymn for End Times. And it goes like this. Are we really this selfish? Are we really this mean? Or are we play acting ourselves in front of loudspeakers and screens? We had it all but still got more, so now our idle hands are bored. Might as well bleed out for a Purple Heart in the culture war. We retreat to hand-stitched pockets of the truth, demanding the world outside to flatten, to reinforce our views. But this is not the end. No, this is not the end. And while priests and politicians promise it will soon begin, right here, right now, this is not the end. This is not the end. It keeps subdividing our attention, adding even more subscriptions. So many mouths begging to divvy up our souls. We're leasing our free time and our thoughts, so we don't remember that we're lost, putting off these thoughts of death for one more episode. better to sometimes feel alone than not feel anything. This is not the end. No, this is not the end. And while scientists and scholars warn that it may soon begin, right here, right now, this is not the end. This is not the end. What if a spider spun this web sucking us dry? As we remove the friction from our days, there are burning bushes everywhere, but we don't look. We just keep harvesting their fruit, like the only thing to do is just consume. They made a sequel to the reboot for us to hate, watch, and review. We can shut it off. We can shut it off. It's making us all miserable. I think that we should shut it off. Can we handle this new world? Get rest in this bed we made? Or were we doomed from the beginning to make the same mistakes? This is not the end. No, this is not the end. We listen to music in a room that's full of family and friends. Bottle it up, be grateful. This is not the end. You bottle it up, be grateful. This is not the end. 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 Thanks. So, a lot of the songs I had been finding myself writing over the last couple of years were about my own personal struggles and struggles of friends I was watching go through, and just trying to kind of capture what a bizarre time it is to be a human being. And about a year ago, my bandmates and I, we really hit a point where we really felt like we were struggling, and if we were struggling, we knew other people were struggling, and we felt compelled to focus our efforts on a batch of songs that really were all of a theme. Again, just like the complexities of modernity, how lonely it feels right now. And they're all in various degrees of sincerity. Some of them are a little more satirical, but they're all songs that we felt the need to share with people, and we hope anybody who hears them can glean something from it. This next one is a little more downbeat. This is a song called Close Calls, and this is a song that's very near and dear to my heart. It's very autobiographical. I have 2 children, and my wife's an educator, and there was a week where there was a gun threat at their school, and I had already kind of been chewing on this because, unfortunately, I increasingly felt like, man, maybe having a song about gun violence would be a relevant song, and it continues to be so. But then when I had that own close call in my own life, it really it hit different. So this is not a song about I don't have answers, I'm a poet, I don't know how to fix things. This is a song about how it feels to endure just kind of this baseline level of accepting that gun violence is part of our society. So I hope there's a little bit of hope in it. Like they said earlier, it's we write a lot of songs that I think are happy songs about sad stuff, but maybe some of them are just bummers. That's possible. I'm feeling jet-lagged and dizzy. It seems like we're always spinning, out of orbit, sucked in by the gravity. Satellite spying on somebody's tragedies, slipping through storm drains, puddled up, pooling below these streets. I'm scared that we're on a rate of 9. What if we don't make it out this time? I'm sick of feeling so damn morose. This was a hard day. I wanna hold you close, 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 close. We deem it a close call or a catastrophe, depending on our own proximity. When the hurricane hit right next door, we thank God that we survived the war. But I'm still clutching my number, movie schools and grocery stores. I'm scared that we're on a rate of 9. What if we don't make it out this time? I'm sick of feeling so damn morose. This was a hard day. I wanna hold you close, 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 close. Self-driving cars, augmented reality. A life so sweet that it's giving us cavities. Oh God, I think I'm gonna be sick. This modern living's just much too rich. Got the whole world in our pockets, gotta keep protecting our kids. I'm scared that we're on a rate of 9. What if we don't make it out this time? I'm sick of feeling so damn morose. This was a hard day. I wanna hold you, another close call. Could I please hold you close, close, close,
I like these, happy songs about sad things. Well, I'm very sorry that your wife and I assume your kids had the scare with the gun violence. Hopefully everything's on the mellow now. I do have to, next time you come up when you're on the mic, Ben's got this cool curly cord on the guitar. I'm like, what? I didn't know that was a thing. So you'll have to tell us about the curly cord next time because they match your shoes. It's great. All right, birthdays this week on the 14th, we have David. Everybody say happy birthday to David. When you see him, happy birthday. Oh, volunteer of the week. Is Julie here? No, we try to coordinate it when they're not going to be here. That's the new trend we've got going on. Julie Samuel Lambert has been with the Oasis board since 2018. That's a long time. She also became the Oasis treasurer in 2020. Julie has been on the child care committee for the past... She's been committed. That's why she's not here today. No, she's great. She's the least crazy of us. Julie's been on the child care committee for the past 3 years and has been the child care person when needed. She helps with picnics, parades, MC, and wherever else she needs. Oasis is very fortunate to have her. Thank you, Julie. Everybody give her a big round of applause. We'll tell her all about her commission later. All right, Lindy Hop, we've got going on Tuesdays. We had our first class last Tuesday, and it was super fun. So Tim was there with us. We had a great time. It's not, I don't know, Tim, was it not too hard? It was super fun. Thanks, Tim. So we had a great turnout. If you want to come, it's still going to be beginner friendly. So this is not like the intermediate, you better know what you're doing. It's like, no. Do you have legs? Do they work? Okay, show up. That's it, $15 a person. All proceeds go to Oasis, so don't forget. Doesn't this look like the most amazing mulch you've ever seen? It is, yes. I would like it to go home with you because we want to do other things with our parking lot rather than just having mulch sit there. So grab your little 40-gallon buckets, grab your truck, grab your friends, whatever you need to do. Please take away the mulch. We do not want it there anymore. It's still good. I took some to my house, and it's lovely. You guys have already done a great job with this. Call to action. As you know, our SNAP benefits are delayed and only funded at 50%. So please support our community by donating requested items for food and other. You can click on the QR code. It'll kind of give you info about what they need. Please don't bring this. I know glass and candy. Like, don't bring those things. They don't want that. All donated items will be taken to Harvesters Community Food Network to support our local food pantries because they're kind of the hub. They know where things need to go. If you want the list of requested items, use the little dinosaur up there. And we've been doing a really good job so far. So keep up the good work. Just kind of think through those items when you're at the grocery store, at Costco, wherever. Just say, hey, what can I bring for our food pantries? We really appreciate that. Ethan is going to have another game night November 20th coming up. These are always so much fun. We have a great turnout. Bring your favorite snacks and board games. We can roll the dice, shuffle the cards, and make some really, really great memories. I always enjoy when I get to go. November 22nd, we have an event, Miriam himself, female Elvis tribute vocalist. Does this not sound super fun? Okay, so we're going to have, this is kind of just our social get-together event. This is going to be at Englewood Arts, Independence, Missouri. We know we've had lots of speakers come from there. Woo! Englewood is our homies. So tickets are $15, so just kind of plan ahead. And I think Sarah is are you our go-to person? Sarah Gielan is our go-to person if you have questions about Elvis. And I'm so excited. Thanksgiving, we're having Friendsgiving potluck on the 23rd. So it's going to be in our normal place of this right here, but you can show up as early as 10:30 for arrival and setup. We're not going to have donuts, okay? I told them cancel the donuts. We're going to have a whole Thanksgiving meal, so bring your own donuts that day. But this is going to be super, super fun. As you guys know, you are my selected family, and I hope I'm yours too. So everybody here at Oasis, we want to enjoy our chosen secular family instead of just a regular Sunday gathering. We do this every day. We're going to enjoy Thanksgiving with each other. If you guys choose that QR code up in the corner, I made a sign-up genius so you can kind of decide. People always say, hey, what can I bring? I'm like, bam, you're welcome, okay? So very traditional Thanksgiving items on there. If you want to bring something different, like I'm going to make mochi souffle. Please do. That sounds delicious. I want to taste it. But these are what we need. Okay, daytime. Take care of each other. As you know, Oasis is one of our core beliefs is human hands solve human problems. Part of how we can make that happen is through our care response team. So if you have anything going on, let us know. We want to be here to take care of you. I had a surgery recently. I just got a card from Oasis. I should have brought it with me. And it said, Julie, we know you've had some health challenges, but we love you so much, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like so touched that even though I'm here all the time, they still sent me a card when I had a little surgery. And it was just that extra little piece of knowing like, oh, somebody really cares about me. So if you have those challenging times, if you have illness, retirements, births, deaths, hospitalizations, especially if you need something, please, please, please reach out to us. Sarah's our lead. Man, she's in charge of everything today for that care response team, but we have multiple people who help out on there. Or if you're like, I want to love on people, let us know, and we will put you on the care response team so you can send some of those nice cards. Or if you know someone who needs a little pick-me-up, these are super fun. We have these little signs. It's a heart and a little sign that says, someone at KC Oasis loves you, and we are just going to attack their house in a loving way. So let us know. We ask for a small donation, and then that way we have the manpower to get all the hearts dropped off to where they need to go. And from the people who have received them, it really, really, truly is just like this beacon of joy. So please consider that, especially if you know people who've been going through a hard time. Tomorrow, Monday the 10th, is our KC Oasis Volunteer at Micah Ministries. We didn't do so good last month, guys. We didn't do so good. So, is anybody not busy tomorrow night? You better go. You better go. Okay? I know Kat already told me she's planning on going. We'll see what my day evolves into. I don't know. But this is a really great time. Micah Ministry, we work together with them, serving hundreds of people meals on Mondays from 5:15 to 7:15. They help everyone regardless of race, gender, religious or non-religious affiliation, sex, sexual identity, or any other trait. There's no barometer for like, are you poor? Do you make money? Do you have a job? Like we don't ask those questions. We're like, oh, you're here, your body, here's some food. And it's really fun when you go to help serve. On November 30th, we have the Oasis Blood Drive. Who is ready to like tap a vein? There you go. Jason's ready. Mark's ready. David's ready. We're going to be on it. This is our service Sunday. So instead of service on the 30th, we're going to be doing our blood drive. And I'm sure they'll have some other super fun service project-y thing on the side. For those of you who are like, no needles for me. Thanks. It's not too bad. Let me know. I'll come hold your hand. Yeah, we'll do it. Okay. Oh, community moment time. So community moments are an opportunity for a member of our Oasis community here in Kansas City to share a topic of their choice. Today is David Avila. We're so glad you're here, David. 3 words about David would be knowing, observant, and cynical. And a warning would be known to be an agent of evil. So very ominous. David, I'm going to leave the clicker for you here. Come on up.
Oh, first, kudos to David Ricks. He helped. He arranged the PowerPoint presentation. Dave, are you here? Okay. Anyway, I grew up in a Christian household, and Sunday school teachers taught me that movies were a sin and that Hollywood is a den of iniquity and vice. However, that didn't stop them from making their own movies. Here we have one from the 1972 Thief in the Night series. And there was a Distant Thunder that happened after that in 1978. These movies were made during the time of, Watergate, Vietnam, campus unrest, race riots, assassinations of King and the Kennedys. Americans are thinking the world is all going to hell. And that's the same time as The Exorcist and, The Omen and Rosemary's Baby. So Christians decided to get in on the act to show their version of how the world's going to hell by showing the rapture and the Antichrist taking over the world. Here you have a young woman on the run from the United Nations Imperium for Total Emergency. These guys kind of act like ICE agents. And let's see, image of the beast. Oh yeah, everyone has to have the binary code for 666 tattooed on their hand or their forehead. Otherwise, they can't buy or sell anything, or they could wind up in prison where they're beheaded by the Antichrist and his minions. Okay, but around that time, though, I stopped going to church. I began to lose my religion, so I didn't see some of these movies. I didn't see all the sequels that followed. This one might be a bit painful for some people to see. It's a movie about a Christian woman played by Dee Wallace and her husband played by Grant Goodeve. You might remember him from 8 is Enough, and you might remember her from Cujo and E.T. And there they are in their double-knit polyester splendor from the 1970s. He's abusive, and then, let's see, he finds Jesus. He ceases to be abusive. It's an unrealistic view of marriage because I think we know that abusers seldom stop abusing. Oh, there it is. She's getting herself slapped by her husband. Anyway, the salvation offered by these kind of movies were the kind that were quick, easy, and much like eating a McDonald's cheeseburger. Oh, there we are, another. This is during the 1990s, around the time when Tim LaHaye, an evangelist, saw an airline pilot, a married man, flirting with a stewardess. And he got the notion that he should write a story about the second coming. This time in the 1990s, when everyone's anticipating the millennium. And so we have things like the Omega Code, which has a very strong anti-government stance. These movies were made about the same time as, the Christian Identity, the anti-government militia movements. Tim McVeigh, Randall Weaver, Eric Rudolph, and David Koresh. A lot of people believe that the UN is going to become a one-world government, robbing America of her sovereignty. Oh yes, remember the black helicopters in the 1990s flying over the heartland? Anybody else remember them? I guess not. How lucky you are. Oh yes, this was about the same time as the Clinton administration, where lots of Republicans are indulging in rumors mongering about the Clinton Chronicles, how Clintons ran drugs in and out of Arkansas, and how they murdered some of their associates like Vince Foster. Oh yes, remember that the Clinton Chronicles were promoted by then evangelist Jerry Falwell, who forgot that you should never, according to the Bible, I think you're not supposed to bear false witness against your neighbors. Okay, the Omega Code. More suspicions on the Clinton presidency. Oh, there we are. Randy Weaver, Eric Rudolph, Tim McVeigh. Oh yes, including Rush Limbaugh, who liked to promote the idea that the Clintons were involved in all kinds of crimes too. Oh, they were especially vehement against Hillary Clinton. Oh, the Passion of the Christ. I wish you did, but anyway. Okay, it's a religious blockbuster. This is about the time when Christians decided they didn't need to see the apocalypse with DVDs and video cassettes or go to sanctuaries, church sanctuaries or church basements to watch movies. They could go to movie theaters like the AMC or Cinemark. And let's see. Oh yes, authentic language and brutal scenes of the crucifixion. And I'm trying to remember, I was going to say that the devil appears in the Mel Gibson movie as a rather creepy-looking woman with a dwarf son. And it was also criticized for its anti-Semitic portrayals of the Jews at that time, even though the Romans were the one that crucified Jesus, not the Jews. Okay, then we get to the 2000s, or the 2000 teens, and after about 50 years of waiting for the second coming, Christians portray their enemies not as minions of Antichrist and his principalities and powers, but as secularists, atheists, cultural elitists. Do we look like an elite in here? Anyway, this is God is Not Dead, where, a young freshman named Josh Wheaton takes a class in philosophy run by a professor by the name of Radisson. And he makes all his students sign a paper that says, God is dead. Josh here refuses. And it becomes David versus Goliath, with the tenured college professor against the freshman. And the freshman wins the arguments. Although in my experience, I remember once watching a debate between Dr. Bart Ehrman at the Midwest Theological Seminary, where a young seminarian tried to take on Bart Ehrman. It did not work well for the seminarian. But anyway, Dr. Radisson, played by Kevin Sorbo. Okay. He's back after he's been humiliated, he's back in his office reading a letter from his dead mother. It seems that atheists don't really come to that conclusion without some kind of personal tragedy in their lives. Anyway, he reads his letter, and he decides he's going to try and reconcile with his wife, a Christian woman who can't stand his atheistic professor colleagues. She goes off to a concert by the Newsboys, and she's really getting down to that Christian rock. And then he decides to try and reconcile with her. He crosses the street, gets hit by a car, and a pastor played by David A.R. White just happens to appear and helps him redeem his life and accept Jesus. It's kind of like that scene from The Exorcist where Father Marin has a heart attack and dies during the exorcism, and Father Karras challenges and threatens Pazuzu the demon and tells him, take me instead. Pazuzu does that, throws him out a window. He dies on the ground below, and a priest appears to administer his last rites. Anyone else watch The Exorcist? Okay. My Christian friends and family would not allow me to see that because they were afraid that I might become possessed. Let's see what else we have here. Okay, 2014, God is Not Dead. 2016, well, more installments. Oh, here we are. God is Not Dead. We the people, and God is Not Dead. In God we trust. Kind of a born-again Christian version of Mr. Smith Goes to Washington by Frank Capra and starring Jimmy Stewart. Both poor fellows are probably spinning there in their graves like a top. Oh yes, David A.R. White plays the role of a minister who's being told he should run for office, while the evil secularists try and run a candidate against him to keep religion out of Washington. Okay, more apocalypse series here, and then 2000-aughts. And that's Mr. T. I could just see him. I pity that fool, Antichrist. I pity him. Okay, Eye of the Storm, more apocalyptic visions. Oh, yeah, apocalyptic. Oh, there we are, the judgment. And Mr. T taking on Antichrist. And what do you think? Oh, this was one of those, this was actually from the Thief in the Night series. And there you can see the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse: famine, disease, war, and Antichrist, all riding roughshod through the world. It's a bit out of place because it was made in the early 70s, but still no second coming after all that. Jesus is about as hard to find as Waldo. Oh yeah, not simply. Another one, Image of the Beast, Thief in the Night, number 3. I never saw it. I lost my religion, as I mentioned. And oh yes, they seem to think that we're all out to make the world one government and rob America of her sovereignty. I don't think we can do that, though. We're just too small in number. Modern villains are atheists, secularists, and cultural elitists. I'm going to skip the Case for Christ. I really didn't think it was that important. The only noteworthy thing about it was seeing Faye Dunaway as a college professor. She's already a septuagenarian, maybe an octogenarian when it came, and all she really wanted to do maybe was just get a paycheck. Okay, Lee Strobel. Skeptical journalist converts to Christianity, originally setting out to disprove it, but he failed. Oh, Let There Be Light, another Kevin Sorbo classic. Tell me if this doesn't sound familiar. An atheist author who writes books like The God Virus, with apologies to Darrell Ray. Thank you. Anyway, he's an atheist author whose mother died prematurely, and he's always blamed God, but he doesn't want anybody to know that. He's at a book signing. He attends a book signing party with his Slavic supermodel girlfriend. Anybody else here want a Slavic supermodel boyfriend or girlfriend? Okay. Anyway, he gets drunk on whiskey sours on vodka, crashes his car into a construction site, and he has a vision of his dead son who says, "Let there be light." And I couldn't help but notice that his dead son looked like Will Robinson from the old Lost in Space series. And I thought, did someone make a... Anyway, Jason's giving me the wrap-up sign here, but let's see if there's anything else. Nope. Oh, I'm going to skip this one about a young woman who converted to Christianity and stopped operating an abortion clinic. Well, the Christians in the audience love to cheer that at the end of the movie when they saw the clinic being demolished. Okay, well, I'm just going to skip this one too because it starred John Snyder, who you might remember from the Dukes of Hazzard, and basically he's an actor who's trying to cash in on his fame, like those people that go to Vegas when they're retired. All right. Well, anyway, I might talk about the Sound of Freedom afterwards, but I have to get back to my chair here.
Awesome work. I'm really happy to say I think I've only seen one of those movies. So I'm going strong. David, thank you so much for that. Quite hilarious. I'm not going to lie. That was funnier than I thought it was going to be. You impressed me, my friend. So I'm sure David and Rix are happy to share this PowerPoint list of movies. If you're like, I haven't tortured myself lately, what should we watch on, whatever tonight? So let's get through all of these. Oh, okay, sorry, switching back to me. Sorry, okay. More movies with David later. If you guys remember my super cute shirt, right? I specifically wore a tank top so I could put this over today and not die of heat exhaustion. But we have all the sizes that could be had. So remember, this is a donation fundraiser-ish thing for Oasis. You're like, Julie, you want me to give you $25 for just a t-shirt? I'm like, yeah, I do. Because not only are you getting a cool shirt that you can wear out in the community, and people are like, what's Kansas City Oasis? I'll be like, buy them! And then, it's conversation starter. That's how we do our whole thing, right? Plus, it's a nice shirt. Julie did a really great job. Speaking of Julie, she is sitting in the back. Mashler is back there, ready to take your money in whatever form you would like to give it. This is kind of a big deal. We've been trying to get new shirts for a while, and it's finally here. So we've got those at the coffee break. Please go get your shirt, and then find me, and we'll take a selfie like I promised. Coffee break, we do have new people here. Ben's new. Ben's never been here before. So make sure you say hello to someone new or give a hug to someone not new. Whatever you want to do is fine. I'm going to tell the kids, so warning, they're going to come out, and I'll see you in 20 minutes. I'm so sorry. I was busy simultaneously eating chocolate and giving Maureen my address because she's like, I want to send you a card. You can, Maureen. So if anybody else wants to send me a card, just let me know. I'll take it. I love cards. Why are we not doing the thing? Okay, here we go. But in the meantime, more Ben! Yay, Ben!
Right.
Woohoo!
Hello.
Before I let you play your song, we got to hear the story about this chord.
Yeah, I wish
been
I
waiting
had
12
a
minutes.
more exciting story. Yeah, they had it. It was on a Black Friday sale at Guitar Center. I liked that it looked like a telephone cord. I trip over things a lot because I'm clumsy, and I
Right.
thought if it was colorful, I'd be less likely to trip on it, but that hasn't really proven to be
Well,
true.
you
so.
know, I feel like you probably, it's like a leash where you can, still stretch to wherever. I mean, I love that. Okay, other like maybe important questions. You own / manage the Rhino,
Yeah,
yes?
I own the Rhino, yep.
He's the owner, guys. It's kind of a big deal. I've been there, which is super cool. Our friend Tracy Meyer,
Tracy's incredible.
you know Tracy.
Yeah, Tracy's
She
the best.
started here as just like a summer Oasian, and then I'm like, can we be best friends? And then I came to see her show at the Rhino. I'm sure you were there, and I just
I was.
didn't know. And I ate ice cream and enjoyed music, and the Rhino's a great place. Can you tell us a little bit more about what do you do at the Rhino? Do you
Sure.
like just worship safari animals or what?
Yeah, basically,
Okay.
yeah. And
Cool.
dinosaurs, confusingly enough, our branding is a little inconsistent. No, we're an entertainment venue that's located, we kind of jokingly call it North Shore. We are just barely north of the river in North Kansas City, right down the street from Screenland Armor, which is one of my favorite places in the world. We have live entertainment 6 to 7 nights a week. We do mostly music, but quite a bit of stand-up comedy as well, some theater, some interactive theater and things like that as well. We have music open mics every Monday and every Tuesday, and comedy open mic every Wednesday, and those are free and I think really cool communities.
I should totally meet you there on Wednesday.
Yeah, and that's actually where I met Tracy.
That's right,
And
yeah.
then we tend to do ticketed events Thursday through Saturday, and then occasionally on Sundays too.
Sweet. All right. So if you guys are like, my gosh, I have not had nearly enough comedy, music, or theater in my life, you just go hit up Ben at the Rhino. He'll probably be there. You probably
I
live
will
there,
almost
right? You have like a
definitely be
cot
there.
in the back. Your kids have their own cubbies, I
Yeah.
bet. Cool.
And it's
All right.
it's only like about 10, 12 minutes away.
It's not far,
like
guys.
Just
It's-
north of the river.
Yeah, and
So,
he said 6 to 7 days a week. That's almost every day.
Real
Okay,
close.
for those of you not keeping track. All right, Ben, please play for us. I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to take my
Gladly.
chocolate,
No, thank you.
and we'll be
Julie.
back.
This next song I'm going to play, this is another one that's on the new album. It's called Honeydew. And this is a song about extremism. And I think a thing that's really important to recognize is that anybody who is terminally online, the algorithms are designed to sink into you and make you addicted and make you obsessed. And they're designed to make you hate. They are designed to pull us apart. And you might think to yourself, I have the right politics, so I'm not going to become hateful. I'm not going to become extreme. But it can happen to anybody. It's not a partisan issue. I've watched people become extreme about pop culture. It doesn't even have to be political. And so this is a song about watching somebody in my life who was going through that and struggling, and how hard it is to protect your heart and fight for yourself, but how important that really is to, again, unplug, touch some grass, and be around people. But to look out for people in your own life, and if you see them in the early signs of being radicalized on the internet, try to reach out and try to listen and be compassionate. So this is called Honeydew. You bought a house down the street from your third favorite bar. So when you get blacked out now, you don't get in your car. And that's progress, I guess. Now your mess is your mess, lest you get sick in your neighbor's yard. Oh. Well, you're kind and polite towards the people you meet, but you say terrible things when you hide behind screens, and you're sure that you're right. This is what they deserve. You feed on their outrage and turn. You and your therapist have been working on your honeydew list, but the dread persist as you check off boxes and boxes. You quit smoking again. You're trying meditation, but you're scared that this is just who you are. You tell the world how it is, the bumper stickers and shirts, and if someone disagrees, then they're gonna get hurt. You're wearing that finger out, aimed at everyone else. It's easier than fixing yourself. You say that evil has a type. It rots from within, leaves the poor bastards blind. You scour the horizon from monsters and creeps. When they look at you, what do they see? A virtue signal flare that's so bright that you light up the dark. And it's so unfair. Nothing ever seems to soften their hearts. You let their hate become your hate that left you unaware. And now you're scared. You've turned out just like them, full of hate and afraid. Whatever broke you is still gonna hurt. You'll be picking at that scab till you're down in the dirt. If you go to war with them, they'll callous your heart. Nihilism's easy. Hope is hard. Hope is hard. Hope is hard. Hope is hard. Thanks.
I really love that message. Hope is hard. Do you guys ever have those days you're like, man, I just want to sit in a ball on my couch with a blanket and do nothing because hope is hard. I get you, Ben. Thank you for that wonderful song. I'm not going to lie. I've absolutely gone to the bar near my house. I didn't throw up in my neighbor Jean, but it was a little close. We are going to have our featured speaker. Where's Eric? Eric is right here. He's almost ready. Our program is designed to generate conversation and engage our powers of reason, not as a forum to start debates. The following presentation has been prepared by our speaker and not by Casey Oasis. Please respect the views of our speaker, and if you have any questions, a Q&A portion will follow as time permits. Okay, we have Mr. Eric P. Anderson. Thank you so much for being here. Eric holds a doctorate in American history from the University of Kansas, specializing in American Indian cultures and the history of the United States West. He has enrolled members in the Citizen Potawatomi, hopefully I said that right, Nation, and teaches Haskell Indian Nations University in Lawrence, Kansas. Please welcome Eric Anderson.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you all. Thanks for inviting me to come and talk with you. Let me make sure I have all the tech figured out here. So, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about these boarding schools that were created to assimilate American Indian and Alaska Native youth. Particularly going to focus on kind of the origins of the schools and the really calcified portion of that history where assimilation was the chief focus. I say a brief history of boarding schools because that's really all it can be today with the time that we have. I'm teaching a class right now on the boarding school experience, and 15 weeks isn't enough. So we're really just going to scratch the surface a little bit today. How many of you know something about these institutions? That's good, yeah. So when I started doing public history events like this, maybe 25 years ago, very few people outside of Indian country knew about the boarding schools. But for American Indian, Alaska Native families, communities, almost all of them were touched, impacted in some way by these schools. So I'm glad that there's more awareness, but it's not always the happiest topic to talk about, so spoiler alert, but it's an important one. And as I go through the slides, which there's quite a few of, and some I will move through quickly given time constraints, there's quite a bit of text in a number of them. I'm not going to read that all to you. There'll be time, I think, for some questions, comments, and hopefully we can maybe get back to some of those details. But for our purposes today, I want to think about three things. First of all, what's the impulse to change, re-educate, as I would say, Native people? And second, how do boarding schools, and in particular, I'm thinking here about off-reservation boarding schools, in other words, the places that were far away from home communities, that separated families. How do those places fit into that agenda of trying to change or remake indigenous people here in the United States? And then third, what's the impact? So if we keep those things in mind, maybe that will expedite some of the information that's in the slide. So let's go ahead and proceed. Those are all kind of prefatory remarks, but here we sit or stand, as the case may be, in a building that was once a Christian institution, right? A church. And so a lot of the thinking behind changing Native people came immediately from the outset, as soon as new folks began to arrive in North America through the vehicle of Christianity, trying to change Native people spiritually with a conversion agenda. So the patterns that get us to boarding schools begin very, very early. And of course, you got the Spanish and the French and a lot of the Catholic missionizing to the Indians. And then when the English arrive, one of the first things they do is set up institutions of higher learning, Harvard and Yale and Dartmouth and William and Mary and these other places. All of those institutions have embedded in them special programs for Native people. And of course, institutions of higher learning at that time were largely focused on religious instruction. So again, that missionizing impulse is being celebrated and strengthened. When the United States is in its early national period, the United States government sees fit to institute a fund for the so-called civilization of indigenous people. And that is really giving monies to denominational groups to continue that pattern of trying to convert Native people to Christianity. As the century wears on, and if you ever do any research on the history of the 19th century and Indian policy, you're going to see that term Indian problem show up all over the place. So what was once maybe within the province of religious groups becomes a national agenda in the thinking of, we've got a problem here. What's the problem about Indians? Well, they exist. They're not like us. They need to be changed. That's something we've been focused on all along, but now they seem to be occupying this land that we want as we expand further west. So the existence of Indians as being different and as being kind of obstacles to overcome is summed up in that term Indian problem. The 19th century is full of a lot of warfare, removal, treaties, all of these different things that are geared towards solving that perceived problem. And that brings us eventually, after the Civil War, to the model for boarding schools. There are institutions for Indian re-education, as I call it, because if we just call it education, there's a presumption that Native people don't have their own ways of educating their youth, and of course that's not true. So there is this growing system of schools, and that's going to culminate in the idea of an off-reservation boarding school, where families are separated and young children are put into these schools far away from home, with the idea that they're going to, cleave off those connections to familiar places and relatives and things like that. And that starts with the Carlisle School. Some of you have probably heard of the Carlisle School in Pennsylvania. That's where the model begins, predicated on this motto, kill the Indian and save the man. So you've all probably heard William Tecumseh Sherman said, the only good Indian's a dead one. That's the warfare piece, right? When Pratt is the founder of Carlisle, when Pratt and other people like him who styled themselves friends of the Indians, yes, that's actually what they called themselves, they kind of flipped that. It's the obverse. Kill what is Indian culturally, but save the human being. And they see themselves as being great humanitarians and reformers in that sense. What they have done, though, is really just start a new kind of warfare. And it's a warfare that's going to be against children and families. So it's ethnocide rather than genocide, but it still has a similar impact. This map, which I know you can't really see those dots very well, but it's representing an amazingly quick growth of off-reservation schools. Between 1879 and the close of the 19th century, there are 25 of them. And if you can see the numbers, over there in the east is number 1, that's the Carlisle School. And in Kansas, right about in the middle, you see Haskell, which is among the early iterations of these institutions that the government is going to fully fund. I put these pictures here because they are representational of the look of the schools. One is from Haskell, about 1910, and another one from the Salem School, maybe about 25 years before that. Architecturally, this is pretty typical of those schools, thinking about that map. But metaphorically, I think it's a useful thing to think about, because the idea is once the students pass through the gate, the arch, the idea is that they're going to be changed forever. What lies on the other side is their future, and they're going to be changed when they exit. Now, how true that is perhaps another story. Couple of pictures there, some of these friends of the Indians. There's Pratt, you can see he's a military guy, and his school reflects that military thinking. And then there's the guy that Haskell Institute is named for, which is the forerunner of Haskell Indian Nations University today, where I teach. Quite a different place than when it started. Our students are still, many of them, surprised to find out that their school is named for a white guy. So there's been some talk of maybe changing the name, even though it's been that for a long, long time. So the model that Pratt establishes, Indian cultures have no value. They have to be remade. The separating families to get away from what are deemed harmful influences of home. And there are kind of 3 legs to the stool of assimilation: English, Christianity, and what they call industry, or some sort of training that will be ideally the basis of a trade that's going to sustain students throughout the rest of their lives. Academics are very limited. Structured schedules are pretty typical. And somewhere in there's the idea that this is going to lead to citizenship. And there's some other things that the United States government's doing at the same time that grow up alongside of that. But Indians don't by and large, become citizens until the Citizenship Act of 1924. So the schools were really kind of haphazard at adhering to that goal. How do children get to school? Lots of different ways, and I was chatting with one of the folks here today about this earlier. And again, I'm not going to read over that whole list, but there's a range of means by which kids get to school, from coercion to persuasion to trying to offer something better than what exists back on the reservations. We still have reservations today, but in the 19th century, they're really prisons where you have concentrated populations and they are not allowed to leave at will, with very few exceptions, and boarding schools would be one of those. And so over time, the schools become really a part of the American Indian and Alaska Native experience. And I wanted to include these pictures. Pratt, the founder of Carlisle, is really kind of a master of what we would call PR, and he liked to use pictures like this to go out and pitch his school. Whether it be to American Indian audiences, trying to get them to give up their children, or maybe more probably to non-Indian audiences, because he had to go out and drum up funds. He wasn't fully funded by the federal government like Haskell and some of these other schools would be. So he liked to use these before and after pictures. And so you see there on your left a Navajo student, what he looked like when he came to Carlisle and after he's been there 4 years. And same thing with the pictures on the right of these Apache children. And Pratt is trying to make this case that, look, I figured out how to solve the Indian problem. Send the children to me, and I will remake them. This is what I can do. I can make them productive members of our dominant society. He is not above using some trickery to do that, because certainly there's some outward appearance in terms of clothes and hairstyles, changes there, but how does he get their skin lighter, right? Probably with lighting, maybe manipulation of the photo negative. So he's not beyond using some questionable means to make his case. And of course, the schools focus on young people. The ages range pretty dramatically, and this picture, is one of those that certainly speaks 1,000 words. Very young students, probably kindergarten, even pre-K age, and it would range all the way up to probably high school or even college age. There's not a lot of standardization to the way the schools operate until pretty late in the 19th century. So this is a picture of Haskell on our quad. That building behind them is still there, oldest building on our campus. And you can see with the boys and the young men, they are in military uniforms, which must have been quite a shock for Indian parents to see. The girls and the young ladies in the black are students, the ones in white are matrons and staff. They're not in military uniforms, but they are in a uniformity of dress. So that idea of it being a total institution, one in which identity is kind of subsumed into a uniform whole, is very much a part of the regimen. One of the things that is also a fixture of boarding schools are disease and death. This is the cemetery on the Haskell campus, which I see every day when I come into my office. Very stark, grim reminder of what happened there, as well as at other schools during this assimilation time. And these are just the ones who didn't get sent home. I think there are 109 stones in that graveyard representing those students who kind of gave the ultimate sacrifice and never got to go back home. I'm going to move through some of these other slides a little bit quicker. The school day, the model is half a day in class and then half a day in industry or work. And classroom focus is pretty basic. what people of the old school would call the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic, maybe some geography. And then, of course, the really important stuff like national holidays, names of the presidents, state capitals, stuff like that, right? A little bit of sarcasm there, right? So it's pretty limited. You know, today Haskell is a university, but this is more like a grade school, really, in terms of the academics in the early years. And just another picture there. And then the other half is work. And a lot of that work is really not imparting a lifelong skill. The reality is it's aimed at institutional upkeep. So there is a built-in child labor force to keep the schools running. Because while Pratt and Haskell, who by the way happened to be chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Indian Affairs and has in a big position of power, which is why, like any good politician, he steers a school to his home district. While they are talking about this permanent change and this reform effort, a lot of the American people are not on board with this. Why should we be spending money on Indians? You know, a lot of them are still thinking the only good Indian's a dead one, right? So that means the reality is the schools don't receive a lot of funding, even at the same time when they're kind of exponentially growing, if you think back to that map. And so a lot of the work that's being done is really just keeping the school running. And I put the boiler house there because it's like something out of Charles Dickens. It's just like so stark and imposing looking. You know, if you spend 4 years in the laundry and boiler house, I think you'd be wanting to escape at any means. And then over there on the other side is the wagon shop. You know, that might be a better skill, but this picture's from 1896, and by that time there are already cars on the road, and so it might be kind of a skill that's becoming obsolete. And of course, labor at the schools is divided according to Western standards of gender. So the boys have a tailor shop and the girls have a sewing room. I think that's important because it would be pretty big departure from traditional American Indian societies, in as much as there's a lot more gender equity in those traditional communities. And here, it's a lot more rigid. One of the things that Pratt introduced is the outing program, where students would be placed with white families in a bid to further acculturate them, give them experience. So boys go to work as farm hands or ranch hands. Girls, primarily hired as domestic servants. And you can see by this poster, it's from the 1950s, this is something that's, you know, not way back in the distant past. It's something that they continued to rely on in boarding schools well into the 20th century. So I just put this schedule from the Rapid School to give you an indication of how every minute is accounted for students. You know, they're getting up 5:30 in the morning to a rising bell. Sometimes that's reveille, you know, again, the military aspect. It's very highly regimented. And of course, it's going by the bell. It's going by clock time, which is a foreign concept to indigenous people, and then lights out in the evening to taps. This is designed to keep students within sight of administrators and overseers, so that there's not a chance for them to do the things that would be familiar to them and that are prevented, like speaking their own languages, practicing their own religions, doing the things that would be familiar from home. If they decide they're going to try and buck the system, not get with the program, there are means of dealing with that. Haskell, like many other of these schools, had a jail on campus, and kids would be put into there. for not following the rules. And then if they run away, they send out bounty hunters to bring them back. And that's a set of handcuffs that's in our collection at the Haskell Cultural Museum. So I've kind of painted a dark picture. And there are a lot of negative aspects to boarding schools, certainly. But as an historian, I think it's important to think about the fact that Native people do have some agency in this too. They're not just hapless victims. But going back to the reasons for coming to school, reservations are not a nice place to be, particularly in the 19th century. Boarding schools promise something better. The path to getting there is not always a happy one. But in thinking about all these things that students are facing, the haircuts, the taking away of familiar clothing and protective objects, the changing of their names, all of these assaults on identity, that's pretty negative. But students and their families endure that for reasons that are very traditional at root, and that is to make sacrifices for the good of the group. That's a tribal way of thinking, not individualism, which the schools are trying to teach but have limited success, but more focused on what can I do that's going to make things better down the line. So I don't want to take away their agency. They had so much taken away from them in this process. I know I'm bumping up against my time limit here, and so I just want to leave a few ideas about how students might work within the system to have some diversion from that regimentation of schedule. And sports was a big one, mostly for boys and young men in the early days, because women were considered too dainty, of course, to be athletes. That would change with time. Football is probably what Haskell and most of the other boarding schools were known for, and Haskell became a football powerhouse in the 1920s. But Haskell very quickly began a basketball program too, because probably the proximity to University of Kansas, where the game began. And in fact, there's lots of stories about sports at Haskell, but James Naismith was very impressed with how the Haskell boys kind of made the game their own. Football might be seen as a way to honor the warrior tradition in a sanctioned way, and the Haskell football players were regularly beating KU, MU, Bucknell, Notre Dame, a whole lot of universities, when at that time Haskell was really just transitioning to a high school. Other diversions that might be a little more inclusive would include the annual performance of the Haskell version of Hiawatha, which is, of course, based on the Longfellow poem. There's lots and lots of ironic things about boarding schools, and I wish I had more time to get into that with you. But one of them is how students are being given a way to play Indian, but in a manner that is reflective of how outsiders see Indians. Hiawatha is set, in the Great Lakes. They would not be wearing headdresses in the Great Lakes. So it's a safe way, I guess, to be Indian within this system that is meant to tear down everything that is culturally native. And this is a parade float from the festivities surrounding the dedication of the Haskell Stadium, which, by the way, was paid for with all Indian dollars, including from the Osage with their oil money in the 1920s. And again, this is 1927, but it really connects back to that very first slide that I showed you, because here you've got, the missionaries and the Puritans and the Pilgrims, and the focus on changing these Indians of the past, right? Lots of different ways that students react to this system, from resistance that's covert, a little more hidden, to overt. But I think really the biggest response is just a range of different ways to navigate this system, selectively figuring out how to get something useful out of the time at school. Boarding schools do a lot of damage. Individually, a lot of kind of lost souls come out of this experience. Obviously, it stunted the vibrancy of native language, religion, even food and diet. On the other hand, some students felt like they gained useful skills, remembered their school days fondly. Maybe that's a human impulse to remember the past, try and focus on the good. So there's a whole lot of things that come out of the boarding schools, but I would say ultimately they failed. I teach at an institution that is all native. It's still a federal school. You have to be a member of a federally recognized tribe to go there. We regularly have 140, 150 different Indian nations represented out of 1,000 students. Incredible diversity. And despite what the schools try to do, Haskell itself as an institution survived, and we're at like 180 degrees from where we started, where the curriculum is indigenized. We're celebrating our cultures, our heritages, and our traditions. So I'll leave you with that. There's a picture of a graduating class from the 1890s, and at a glance might not look that different from any other graduating class. And here's one from just a few years ago, and you can see how students have kind of customized their graduation regalia with touches of their own cultures. So I think that might be a good place to end, because despite all of the damage that schools did, ultimately they failed, and we're still here. Okay? Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're going to have a time for a couple questions. One question. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Jason's the boss. Raise your hand nice and tall. Remember, make your question end in a question mark.
And
Susan.
I am happy to stick around, and if you want to ask your question of me after our time here, I'm glad to do that.
I was wondering how Haskell was able to change from an institute that was trying to kill a culture to one that celebrates it.
That's a great question. My argument would be Native students and their support networks are really responsible for that. Ultimately, the schools have to depend on Native goodwill to a certain extent, and they have to depend on Native communities sending students to the schools. And somewhere in there towards the beginning, I indicated that Haskell very quickly became the largest school in the system. And probably that's somewhat due to proximity to Oklahoma and to the tribes in Kansas, where a lot of the Indians are. But also, I think because it was a place where that proximity gave some ability to influence the institution and the administration. Even though they are in thrall to federal rules and regulations, there's still a lot of leeway. And so even the very first superintendent, who was James Marvin, who came down from KU, allowed Native parents to come and stay with the children to kind of make sure that what they were doing was okay with them. And the next superintendent after him was much harsher, and all kinds of students ran away, and parents withheld their children. So there is some limited agency there, too. And I think that paved the way for a growing pathway to change, so that by the 1910s, in the Indian service, you're seeing more Native people being hired who may have come through the system, trying to soften it. And I think you're seeing kind of mission creep, if you will, that there's beginning to be more and more ability to express oneself culturally, whether through art, whether kind of surreptitiously through the school newspaper and other means. So by the 1920s, Haskell being the biggest school, it's kind of leading the way. It's opened up courses for things that are more geared to Native needs, like commercial courses or business courses, teachers, and other things like that, and morphing into a high school, eventually to a junior college, and then a university. So Haskell's unique because it lasted, but it's very tangible in terms of its change, and I would say a lot of that is Native driven.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Professor Anderson, for your amazing information. You can hold on to that guy and take it to the AV guys. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for all of your attention during that amazing presentation. I learned a ton. I didn't know really. I used to go to KU in Lawrence, and I was like, oh, Haskell, I wonder what that is. No idea until right now. So we have our volunteer Sunday tasks. Maybe if somebody in the back wants to bring a little bucket to pass around. I know sometimes you guys don't like it, and I'm going to do it anyway, because then you actually do the things that we need help with. So just a reminder, please grab one of the tasks either from the bucket or from the little thing in the back. And normally they take like 5 or 6 minutes, but when we all work together, it makes our community building a lot nicer and look clean and tidy. So we want to make sure we're being good preservers of our wonderful building. We also want to encourage everybody, kcoasis.org is where you can donate, should you choose to. If you are a recurring donor, that kind of gives us a little bit of an idea of what money we have available to us to spend. Or if you're like, I just want to do a onesie, you can do your Venmo right there. You can always give me cash. Cash is fine too. Just hand it to me. That'll be great. I'm going to have Ben play for us one more time, but I got to know, Ben, do you have anything coming up musically?
Yes.
That's not just like, I'm the owner, I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Tell
I
me.
will shamelessly plug my pal Jack Summers, who I believe has played music here
Jack
sometimes.
Summers, we know all about Jack.
We're
Woo!
having a double album release party at the Rhino on December 13th. And
Whoa.
So my band Landline, we're celebrating the release of our new album. Jack's has his new album coming out. I have heard early versions of it, and it's fantastic.
Awesome.
So yes, December 13th at the Rhino. I'd love to see any and all of you there.
Okay, is that, it's got a bunch of rocks in it. If you guys want to just take the cards out, you can. I don't want you to have a rock casualty. Maybe we can get Jason to send us that information so we can add it to our social calendar.
I will gladly comply.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Because, I mean, who has not been to the Rhino? Raise your hand real quick. Oh my gosh, so many people. Okay, of those of you holding up your hands, do you like live music? Yes, so many head nods. Okay, cool. So we're all going to do it. What day of the week is that? Do you know?
It's a Saturday night.
It's a Saturday night. We have nothing to do on Saturday nights. Let's just go. It'll be fun. Okay, so Ben's going to play for us one more time. Give another round of applause. Ben Wendt.
Thank you all so much. Truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for having me and for being so welcoming. This is a really special, very cool community that you have. I have served as a worship leader at a handful of churches and totally secular, non-religious communities and things like that. This is a really special thing that you guys have here. I bet you know that, but maybe sometimes having an outsider point it out, reminds you. It's really beautiful. So thank you so much, and thanks to Jason and Julie and Terry and everybody who's been so accommodating. Thank you. This is a song, I think appropriately titled Song of Sending, and I want to send you out on it. It's about a lot of things. It's you probably would have guessed it's about the internet. It's also about hope and darkness. It's about my grandfather. I'm a pacifist. He fought in World War II. I often have to circle the square of thinking Nazi bad, but also war bad too. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this song, but I think that the thesis of it is that we have each other, and we have hope, and we can fight through stuff non-violently, of course, but like metaphorically combat the darkness with our light. So thank you so much. This is Song of Sending. I've been scrolling through a dead girl's Instagram. Think we would have been friends Last year she drove to Dallas to see My Chemical Romance. On a beach, her legs look never-ending, sunburnt but stunning against the sand. Now she's locked in a perfectly lit Dutch angle, dog-eared paperback in hand. Ads for Adidas skateboard shoes next to the last photo she took. What were unfulfilled plans? Did she ever finish that book? Well, maybe I could resurrect her if I put back all her pieces. Oh, the sun's still coming up tomorrow, even if we're not the ones who see it. Yeah, the sun's still coming up tomorrow, even if we all just stop believing that it's gonna rise. Dates and letters on a tree trunk and prints painted on cave walls. I'm not trying to pretend I think I'll live forever. I just want to leave something that says that I was here at all. I've been listening to my favorite song. I still hum it like a bad habit. Got the lyrics written in my skin, but now the singer is problematic. Could I still be a decent person, or do sins spread like diseases? Oh, the sun's still coming up tomorrow, even if we're not the ones who see it. Yeah, the sun's still coming up tomorrow, even if we all just stop believing that it's gonna rise. My grandpa fought World War II, killed some fascists on a beach. It was the right thing to do. Then he came back home, decided to have a kid. After everything he'd seen, he was still an optimist. His hope echoes in me when I'm too weak to rise, and together we rise. Rise. All together we rise. Rise. The sun's still coming up tomorrow, even if we're not the ones who see it. Yeah, the sun's still coming up tomorrow, even if we all just stop believing. Oh, the sun's still coming up tomorrow, even if we're not the ones who see it. Yeah, the sun's still coming up tomorrow, even if we all just stop believing. The sun's still coming up tomorrow. The sun's still coming up tomorrow. The sun's still coming up tomorrow. The sun's still coming up tomorrow.
Sorry, Ben, but we're going to officially have to stalk you in your music because that's such a great song. That's not a real apology, in case you're wondering. Thank you so much. Everybody give another round of applause for Ben, having him here. I'm just going to say it's not every day we have the owner of a music venue come visit us. So we're here every Sunday. I told you earlier, you're welcome to just come back and like hang out with us and eat some donuts because we like you. So if you want to fangirl, fanboy, Ben, whatever, he'll be here. And we're all going to see you on the 13th.
Great.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. If you had not had enough of Oasis and all of our friends today, we're going to go to Minsky's. I have plans today. Why do we not do Minsky's on the day I don't have plans? What the heck? We're going to do Minsky's. This is 1 Southwest Boulevard, 3063 Southwest Boulevard. I'll try to put it back on here when we're done. This is going to be after you help us with volunteer stuff. Yeah, you guys know. And then don't miss next week. We're going to have Sunday gathering on the 16th. We will have Sarah Louderman talking about citizen diplomacy in a changing world. That sounds like a helpful thing to learn about. Musical guests will be Foxlyn, and Kelly Burke will be our community moment. Is it Kelly? No, I think it's Casey. It's Casey. That's okay. No, Jason, I'm not mad at you. You can't do nothing wrong. Please, we already talked about this. Pitch in, look at your stuff. I have things scattered all over. Don't worry, I'll get them too. That's it, guys. I'm going to put our lunch slide back up here. I will see you next week.